Rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men. Terrible that you would applaud that.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump. So, Kat, they know that they're having a hard time with men.
Right.
Doesn't seem like this is the right strategy.
No.
She basically says that they're hurting women by voting for Trump.
But I think they don't understand that where it comes from in the first place is that people are sick of being told how bad they are and talked down to, and you know, the condescension doesn't work. None of what they're.
Barack Obama dove headfirst into Greg Gutfeld's comic whirlwind on Obliterate, even though he had expected a calm, polished moment to cement his legacy. Think of showing up to a fireworks show armed with a water balloon. That's the kind of mismatch we're talking about. While Gutfeld tried to maintain a composed, collected front, Obama delivered lines so sharp they could cut through the thickest layers of Secret Service protection. This level of verbal precision makes ordinary roast battles feel like gentle nursery rhymes, so get ready.
President Obama took another stand against evil yesterday, lashing out at ISIS, pernicious gang crime and human rights abuses in left-wing dictatorships like Venezuela and Cuba. I was kidding. He went after Fox News.
For years, people have whispered that Beyoncé's political rival might be Barack Obama, a figure of flawless coolness carefully packaged and displayed on campaign posters. Even in a tan suit, he could pass for a freshly minted mixtape artist commanding attention and headlines. He was the composed scholar, the messenger of hope, the silver-tongued charmer who somehow convinced half the country that, with a smile, everything could be all right.
It is a constant menu. They will find, like, folks who make me mad.
So let's analyze. He says Fox is out of its way to locate and then demonize the poor. For what reason? So we can kill and eat them? His criticism is absurd because he never suggests a motive. FNC is always focused on policies that keep the poor, not the poor themselves. And that's scary to progressives like Obama who fear that their ideology will be exposed as the culprit behind so much present misery. Identity politics, welfare policies, and the white liberal addiction to social intervention has helped replace enterprise with entitlement. And that has hurt the poor more than street drugs or police brutality.
Here's the catch. Reality doesn't always reward sheer coolness. And that's exactly where Greg Gutfeld zeroes in, ripping apart Obama's carefully constructed legacy with sharp humor. Clearly, much of Obama's image rested on his persona alone. He was America's effortlessly cool dad, the kind who made you think he could flip burgers one moment and fix the economy the next.
FNC is critical of such policies. Obama portrays it as critical of people. It's to save his beliefs from the humiliation they so richly deserve. And remember, it wasn't FNC who ginned up class warfare.
I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
We've got to ask the wealthiest Americans and biggest corporations to pay their fair share. This is the land of opportunity. That's great.
Every pause, every beat, every little sound was designed to feel like a Netflix cliffhanger, purely gripping. Yet, a closer look exposed more inconsistencies than an Obamacare filing. Greg Gutfeld has a talent for pointing out the gaps without sounding like a textbook lecturer. That's the key difference. Instead of droning on about policy like a sleep-deprived C-SPAN caller, he lands jokes that hit hard. Professor Cool Obama's polished image can crumble like a dry cookie with a single, perfectly timed punchline. No charts or graphs required.
Hell, way back when, even Obama had the stones to hit bin Laden. And remember who told him not to do it? Yep, Biden. Obama gave him a glass of milk and told him to sit down, which is a terrible comment. Michelle thinks American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum.
Take international policy, for example. After winning the Nobel Peace Prize, Obama accomplished surprisingly little before even settling into office. Imagine starting your first day at work, still trying to find the restroom, and already being named Employee of the Year. That early promise, however, faded fast. Like milk left out in the Sahara, Libya was falling apart, drone strikes multiplied like caffeine-fueled rabbits, and Syria descended into chaos. Obama was supposed to be the world's peacemaker, the leader denouncing violence. Instead, he was authorizing airstrikes between updating Spotify playlists. Gutfeld exposes that absurdity without needing a think tank. He simply points out how ridiculous it looks. Suddenly, Bush seems like a serene yoga instructor, while the supposed mediator's greatest hits reel of military action plays on loop. Remember the lofty promises of prosperity and renewal? Obama stepped into office during the peak of the 2008 financial crisis. To his credit, things didn't completely collapse, but let's be honest, he didn't turn America into a financial paradise either. With wages barely moving and growth sluggish, the middle class started to question whether this promised land of opportunity would ever arrive.
Abdication of responsibility embraces the toxic retribution of Occupy Wall Street, there goes my tongue, which seeks equality by crushing everyone under one boot. As a class warrior, that's Obama's common core. Finally, he says we need to change the way the media...
Obama's comments suggested he alone was steering America towards Silicon Valley 2.0, even if the recovery moved as slowly as a sloth on a treadmill. Gutfeld's humor, rooted in reality, cuts right through that story. The whole thing felt like one of those overhyped TV shows. It looked amazing in the trailers, but when it arrived, glitches and unexpected problems were everywhere. What was supposed to be his crowning achievement, solidifying his legacy, turned into a bureaucratic Rubik's Cube. Sure, some people got coverage, but the website crashed more than a Windows 95 computer, costs soared, and insurers dropped out. Obama had promised a smooth healthcare revolution, yet Americans ended up navigating a system that felt like going to the DMV or trying to order pizza online. There's no need to oversell Gutfeld. His take is already comedy gold. The bigger issue? Obama's policy execution didn't always match the brand. Beyond the presidency, he embodied a lifestyle. Netflix shows, best-selling books, curated playlists. He was the first president to truly embrace celebrity culture.
Who would take any responsibility if the good times were actually bad times. So it's like when you when somebody comes into work and says, oh, that restaurant was amazing. I told you that restaurant was going to be great. But then if they came in and said they had food poisoning, I didn't say it was that good. So people only take credit. They never take responsibility. You of all people should know that, Kat.
Right.
It's the story of your life.
All I do is take credit for the Greg Gutfeld show, Saturday nights at 10 p.m.
You take no responsibility for the horrible things you do.
At one point, he was even competing for a Grammy, yet it was hard to tell if he was running a country or hosting an awards show. Obama's presidency was, in a sense, overtaken by Hollywood. Since results weren't the focus, his brand became nearly untouchable, more about style and vibes than substance. Like America's personal basketball commissioner, he left March Madness brackets, fist-bumped late-night guests, and exuded effortless cool. This is where Gutfeld excels. The core of Obama's brand is charm, which can shatter when tested. And Gutfeld makes that reality clear. Lower gas prices aren't the product of charisma, and during Obama's 8 years, the party lost more than 1,000 seats across federal, state, and local levels. A strong leader should help the party thrive, but instead, it looked like it had been flattened by a cartoon anvil. Even as his exit resembled a chaotic frat party, Obama walked away with a Netflix deal and that signature smile. Half the furniture was missing, broken, or abandoned, exactly the kind of precise paradox that fuels Gutfeld's humor. The party ended up weaker than before, and the nation more divided than it had been in decades. The man who promised unity ran politics using the same old Washington script, but with better music.
Another interesting tweet you had recently was fracking is weaning us off foreign oil. But who's counting? Not Obama.
Did I tweet that?
Yes, you did.
That doesn't sound like me.
You did.
There's no punchline?
No, I think not Obama was the punchline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always look at fracking as a solution to a number of issues. Jobs, creates jobs, eases your dependence off of crazy people. That's good, and you have a lot of energy for the rest of your life. It's like, how could this be bad?
The funniest part is how stubborn Obama's myth remains. Through endorsing candidates, giving speeches, and positioning himself as the wise elder of the Democratic Party, he keeps wielding political influence even as divisions grow. Yet Gutfeld turns that image into pure comedy. Obama doesn't come across as a sage. Instead, he's like the guy still showing up in his varsity jacket at graduation, reliving glory days. It's cringeworthy now, though undeniably cool once. Comedy doesn't care about polish, but Obama was supposed to be untouchable, and the truth is comedy's lifeblood. In reality, his legacy is messier than the media often suggests. The soundtrack was great, the story inspiring, and the editing slick, but much of the excitement was already in the trailer. Supporters paint him as a chess master, sipping green tea, always 10 moves ahead, orchestrating America's course with precision. On closer look, many of those moves resemble a kid dragging checker pieces across the board rather than grandmaster strategy. Smoke screens and dramatic pauses often hid this, but it was clear that Obama loved talking about vision more than executing it.
We have cheap natural gas, but he is terrified of, I think, the environmentalist factions in his own party.
Being
you
not
can't
cool.
say, yeah, being not cool. That's what it is.
Thank you.
That was a good heckle.
Heckle.
Yeah, but it's true. No, he's scared. He is scared of that's part of the problem. Is environmentalism is perceived as a cool thing, even if you're
Greg Gutfeld had a field day. Obama's contradictions practically begged for ridicule. Take, for example, his pride in uniting the country and bridging divides. By the time he left office, America felt more like the star of a chaotic reality show family. Every dinner table conversation could spiral into a civil war. Racial tensions lingered, and as cities burned and protests flared, the man who claimed to put out the fires often ended up pouring kerosene on smoldering embers. The irony is what makes it so funny. Obama called for unity, yet sometimes deepened the divides. He posed as a healer, but often worsened the injuries. Gutfeld doesn't need think tanks, flowcharts, or fancy jargon. He simply points out the absurdity. Obama, praised for his oratory, often spoke about issues with no clear solutions. It's like buying a high-end smartphone with all the bells and whistles, only to realize it can't make a call. Then there's Obama's relationship with the media. Journalists treated him like he descended from Mount Olympus carrying tablets of wisdom. Every joke, remark, or move was hailed as groundbreaking, whether he was announcing a new policy or revealing his NCAA bracket. Either way, it made headlines.
The Trump administration today pushing back hard on former President Obama's assertion that he is the reason the economy is doing so well and not the current occupant of the White House. The fight started yesterday when 44 tweeted somewhat out of left field, quote, 11 years ago today, near the bottom of the worst recession in generations, I signed the Recovery Act, paving the way for more than a decade of economic growth and the longest streak of job creation in American.
A sharp comedian can topple even the most polished image, and that's exactly what Gutfeld does. He exposes how the media often acted more like fan club presidents than watchdogs. That's the unsettling truth. Their cheering not only boosts the candidate, but also blinds the public. He's different, the mantra went, letting Obama get away with moves previous presidents might have avoided. He's unique, he's cool. Drone strikes? Sure. But have you checked his Spotify playlist? Huge national debt. That tan suit, though. Obamacare glitches? No problem. He can just fist bump someone on late night TV. Gutfeld points out the double standard with ruthless humor. And this isn't exaggeration. Look at his post-presidential career, best-selling books, celebrity appearances, Netflix deals. He seamlessly moved from politics to pop culture, though while he thrived, the Democratic Party struggled. They lost seats like gamblers watching their chips disappear in Vegas. State lawmakers flipped, governorships vanished, and by the end of his 8 years, the party map looked battered and broken.
So, does this matter?
Well, there's two weird things about this. It's weird Obama's doing this while all this other stuff is going on.
Right.
Like, shouldn't he be helping out Joe?
Right.
Like, he totally ghosts Joe. I always say that he's like the guy, whenever you go to a party with somebody that you don't like and you try to lose them at the party, that's what Obama has done to Joe. He's lost them at the party, and now he's moving on, and then he tweets, and then you find out that he's tweeting about something else while you're at the party. And it's just, I think it's kind of mean to Joe. The second thing is that it's part of that I told you mechanism that only happens when things are...
Obama's team was crumbling like a Jenga tower in an earthquake, yet his star kept shining. That's one of the biggest ironies of his leadership. He left his party weaker than when he started, even though he was supposed to strengthen it. As Gutfeld points out, that statistic isn't dry, it's comedy gold. He highlights Obama's triumphant exit with the party scattered like a cartoon character flattened by a piano. The party suffered, but Obama's reputation remained intact. The punchline? Time and again, he escaped accountability while everyone else cleaned up the mess. Take the healthcare fiasco. What was supposed to be Obama's crowning achievement, the jewel of his political legacy, became a source of headaches. Gutfeld doesn't need to exaggerate. The absurdity speaks for itself. Obamacare, promoted like the next iPhone, often worked more like a sketchy back alley purchase. Obama insisted it was historic, yet the rollout caused massive technical problems. Still, his charisma shielded him. Stand him in front of a camera, let him speak at his own rhythm, and people would forget the chaos. It was political hypnosis. In many ways, he felt more like a motivational speaker with access to nuclear codes than a traditional president.
Obama's now a Republican.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions.
Kennedy, just watching that now, so that was 2011. Him and Trump are saying exactly the same thing, but he's not saying it as well. It's like he wasn't having fun with it.
But it's like even the name of it, he was like, and we're going to call it the cost-cutting commission because Joe Biden is going to be in charge, and everyone knows you don't.
Gutfeld often mocks the odd circumstances of Obama's presidency, highlighting a man who could sell anything, even when it didn't quite work. The most entertaining part, Obama voluntarily took the job. He didn't merely accept celebrity treatment, he embraced it, playing hoops with NBA stars, swapping jokes with late-night hosts, and dropping Spotify playlists like a DJ. He became the president of pop culture. That persona made him approachable, softened the perception of his flaws, and kept the media and public enthralled. Yet, as Gutfeld shows, charm can only carry you so far. The same charisma that turned Obama into a cultural icon also masked shortcomings, leaving cracks in the foundation of his legacy. While he dazzled the cameras and spoke with polished rhythm, his policies often faltered. Obamacare, for example, was promoted like a revolutionary iPhone launch, but rolled out with glitches that frustrated millions. His party lost more than 1,000 seats during his tenure, and racial tensions, protests, and economic frustrations persisted. Despite these realities, Obama's image remained largely untouchable, thanks to a mix of media adoration and his own magnetic appeal. Gutfeld's comedy slices through that allure like a razor. He exposes the contrast between the public image and the underlying truth, showing that the shiny billboard of Obama's legacy is, in many ways, an unfinished construction project. The more you look past the spectacle, the NBA, appearances, Netflix deals, and viral moments, the more absurd the reality becomes. Ultimately, Obama's legacy feels like the trailer for a film that never fully delivered. Audiences laugh at the performance, yet leave wondering if the sequel will ever live up to the hype. And Gutfeld ensures no one forgets the humor in that contradiction, making sure the lessons behind the laughter are just as sharp as the punchlines.